Hello all and welcome to Astro Wheel of Fortune. My name is Vlada and I read tarot, and today I'm doing a reading on what honest conversation do your spirit guides want to have with you. So it can be about anything. I don't know what it's going to be about yet. I've pre-shuffled some oracle cards here for all of the three groups. I'm going with three groups today because I feel like I want to go more in depth and longer with each individual pile. And I didn't want to have to go through too many groups because I felt like the messages would be a little bit more kind of broad, but maybe require a lot more explaining or dissecting, I suppose. So for this reading, we've got three groups. We've got group one with black tourmaline. We've got group two with crystal, or sorry, I always say crystal quartz, but it's clear quartz. And we've got pyrite here for group three as well. So if you want to pause the video to really try and zone in on these piles, see which one is calling out to you the most and pick one, you can do that. We're going to be shuffling the tarot on camera. But with that, I'm going to get started. So pause the video now if you want a little bit more time to decide, but we're going to get started with group number one. I'm going to push these away. Okay, group number one, let's get started. The black tourmaline group, let's get into what honest conversation do your guides want to have with you. So this one, I actually wanted to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to put the oracle cards to the side for a second, and I'm actually going to get started with tarot first. And I'm going to put out three tarot cards to give us the message, and then we're going to get into the oracle cards and what they want to express as an addition to the tarot message. So let's get started. So group number one, the black tourmaline group. What do they need to know? What is the honest conversation that their guides want to have with them? What honest conversation do you want to have with them? We've got Page of Swords in reverse first. The Hermit in reverse. And the Ace of Cups is also in reverse. I kind of feel like it's like this actually, so I'm going to put it, it's not quite in reverse and it's not quite upright, so I feel like I want to put it sideways for now. And I'll probably be moving it around through the reading anyway. So, okay, group one. So first, when I look at the Page of Swords in reverse, your guides want to be very honest to you and very open to you about how they think that you are putting yourself through unnecessary mental energy. You're putting yourself through unnecessary thinking, unnecessary overthinking definitely could be a part of this, but this could be also unnecessary communication is happening currently. I kept hearing unnecessary when I was shuffling these three cards. So to me, there's something that you're doing that is unnecessary in terms of thinking, speaking, communicating. So it could be unnecessary. I can see there's a lot of emotional investment in whatever this unnecessary thing is. So I feel like certain communication around this is necessary. Certain, thinking patterns around this are necessary. But I feel like on the grand scheme of things, your guides are saying, even though there is a lot of emotional involvement in whatever this thing is, it could be that you're very emotionally involved in your career and your career is really, really important to you. And you really, really want to make sure that it's the best career that you could possibly forge for yourself. But your guides are saying you can be, again, with the Ace of Cups being upright or in reverse, like I'm kind of pulling it back and forth. It's good to be emotionally involved and emotionally invested in this career, let's say. It can be different things. For some of you, it's a relationship, but it feels a little bit more it could be a relationship for a lot of you, but it does feel more like something to do with almost studying or gathering information, gathering knowledge. Because to me, the Page of Swords as a student, it's a very curious energy, right? But it's almost like this energy is over curious. You know the way people say like an overactive chakra or an overactive something? There's almost overactive curiosity that's happening. Curiosity to the point of making yourself upset or making yourself... well, one thing that this could be actually, if it is a relationship, the overactive curiosity could be like maybe going online and stalking the person on their social media if you're really invested in this person, and looking up everything about them and really gathering information because you want to figure out if you will be fit together, if you will work together, if it'll be a good match. And your guides are saying the emotional investment is not the problem. The emotional investment that you have for this person or career or thing is actually very beautiful and it's actually very commendable. But you're almost bringing yourself to the point of emotional exhaustion because you're so emotionally invested. And when you mix that with over curiosity, over stimulation in terms of curiosity, overactive curiosity, it brings you into a place of loneliness. And that's why we have the Hermit in the middle here. The Hermit card in reverse to me speaks of loneliness a lot. But this is not just that, it's also this need. The Hermit upright, right? To me, the Hermit upright energy is very peaceful. It's very relaxed. It's the comfort of being alone. It's the comfort of enjoying alone time, time to research, time to gather knowledge. It's when you sit down with a book on a topic that you really care about and you sit down and you read it and it fills you with joy to read about this one topic. So for example, if this is a career thing that we're talking about here, it feels like you are really invested in this career emotionally. You really care about it. You really love what you do to a certain degree. But oftentimes you almost love it so hard and so much that your intellectual brain takes over. And then it goes into this overthinking mode, over curious mode. I must find out more. I must gather more knowledge. I must get further and further and further. So there could be a topic that you really care about or something that you really love. This could be a subject that you really care about. I don't know, like, let's say you are in college even, maybe some of you are in college or doing a master's or something like that, and you're gathering information. And at a certain point, you loved gathering information for this degree or for this job or for your business. You loved collecting little pieces of information and weaving them together and putting them together in this beautiful kind of way. But your guides are saying you've come to a point where you think that if you're not gathering information for this thing, for this topic, for this subject, whatever this is, that you are failing somehow. And so your guides are saying it's, even if you're super invested in a topic, it's okay, or a person, it's okay to have space and time away from it. It's okay to take space and time away from this relationship, topic, career, business. Sometimes you need to take time away so that all the information that you have previously gathered can integrate. And so you're in this kind of limbo energy right now. And I feel like your guides are saying you can totally do this. It's not something that you won't be able to put down. You're certainly capable of leaving this thing alone for a little while, or, for however long. But your guides are saying you've gathered enough information for the time being. Now you need to take a step back and enjoy the process of integration. By living outside of this subject, by living outside of this person, by living outside of this career or business is how you are going to find success right now. And I want to put this Ace of Cups because I feel like the final form of this Ace of Cups for you is in the upright position, because I do feel this doesn't feel like a very intense energy, but your guides do feel like they need to be honest about it. They're not saying, oh, this is kind of like a lost cause, or you've gone too far and you've overworked yourself. I'm not seeing that. I just feel like you're in a place where you are over gathering information, over researching, over being overly curious, or curious to a fault, where it's hurting you more than helping you. And maybe you're thinking, how did I get here? I used to research things about this career or job or person. I used to find out details about whatever this is. And it used to bring me joy, and it used to bring me happiness. And I used to feel this giddy curiosity. How do I feel so burnt out? It's because you need to take a break from it. You need to take a break. And the good thing that I'm seeing here is that this thing is definitely for you. It feels like this thing is for you. It's something that is going to make you happy, but it can't make you happy every single minute of every single day, if that makes sense. This thing can make you happy on the grander scale, but only if you take pauses from it, only if you leave it intellectually, or you step out of it in terms of thinking about it all the time. You need to sometimes forget about this thing. And you will, obviously, you'll be practicing this through your lifetime, or through however long this is going to take. You will be practicing this, and you will perfect it. And you will become the master, because the Hermit card to me is kind of like a professor of something. It's a person that has a PhD in something, and so they know everything on this subject. But they didn't get the PhD by thinking about the subject every single second of every single day. They knew the times where they needed to go and take a break. They knew the times where they needed to go and maybe study something else, or put their energy into something else. The Hermit is this lecturer, this professor, but they are also like, even professor. I feel like when you think about like PhD students or professors, like they never stop learning. People that are really passionate about a subject, they never stop learning about it, even if they've reached the PhD level or whatever. It's like, even if they reach the top, they probably will always still be curious. And so your guides are saying, and let's say you get your PhD in whatever this is, metaphorical PhD for some of you. Let's say you get it. That's not going to squash your curiosity about the subject. You're not going to just reach the peak and that's going to be it. You find out everything about this in a short amount of time, and then what? Where do you go from there? Because there's still curiosity. And so your guides are saying, gathering information or gathering knowledge about this thing, person, situation, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, and they're not saying this in a very like, oh my God, just put down the books and just relax. Like it's kind of like a very honest conversation, but it's like, we admire your persistence and we admire your engagement with the subject, and it's beautiful to see you working towards it. But in the end, if you are not fulfilling yourself in other ways, if you are not stepping away from research, gathering of knowledge, your curiosity, and just sit with your feelings and just sit with other things in your life, you're going to become emotionally exhausted. You're going to become emotionally spent. So that's the first thing that I'm picking up for this group. I'm going to leave this Ace of Cups upright because I do feel like I want to keep it there. So let's have a look and see how the Oracle cards might support this. So we've got Sparkling Falls, show yourself unconditional love. With the Ace of Cups, that definitely makes sense. Self-love, confidence, self-care. So some of you need some self-care, and self-care doesn't mean like a bubble bath. It can for some people. It doesn't mean like, going for a spa weekend. Sometimes self-care means something like spending time with your pet, spending time with your siblings, your parents, your friends, going on a road trip, something that has nothing to do with whatever this subject is. Some of you, I feel like maybe you are business owners or you have like a side hustle and you really care about it and it is going to be a part of your life. Like that's something that I'm getting as a reassurance. It's like, this thing is going to be a part of your life. Don't you worry. This thing is going to continue being your thing. But sometimes you need a week of it not being the most important thing in your life. Same if you're talking about a person, it's like, yes, this person is meant to be in your life. You're meant to have this relationship, but you will need months, weeks, days where this person is not the center of your universe. Just like anything, So, okay, that's cool. Let's move forward. We've got Grand Cross. The Grand Cross does make me think as well about challenges will always be present. So with this thing, what I feel like there's something here that you really care about. It really means a lot to you. You want to become basically like metaphorical professor expert on this thing, but you also never want to stop learning about it. It's not kind of like you don't reach the peak and then you're done. You always want to pursue it in some shape or form. And your guides are saying that's entirely possible, but you will come to a point or multiple points in your life or in the period of time of when you're doing this or engaging with this thing where you will face challenges, where you will be faced with a difficult situation that you have to face and go, right, clearly I'm hitting a roadblock along my way. Clearly I am being blocked in some sort of way from gathering more information, from gathering more resources for this specific subject, thing, place, person, business, career. It's time for me to walk away from it and focus on another area of my life, so that I can replenish myself emotionally. Because I feel like this thing, whatever it is, that's why I wasn't feeling specifically like a relationship. But again, I suppose it could just be a relationship that is very intellectually stimulating. It could just be a connection that is very intellectually stimulating for you. But to me, it feels something like something that stimulates you intellectually. That's what it feels like. So for some of you, that could be a hint of what your guides are referring to here. Something very intellectually stimulating and something that when you work on it, your brain is like so happy. Your brain gets excited and your brain is like, oh, what about this? And what about this? And what if we do this? It's like you get into a state of experimentation when you deal with this subject or thing. So it could be, again, a business, career path, whatever it is. The key thing here is that your brain is happy when you're doing this thing. You could be very mercurial. We've got like Mercury with the Hermit because it's ruled by Virgo, and Page of Swords. It's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, but I'm so kind of seeing these two cards together that I'm seeing it as Gemini and Virgo ruled by Mercury, and you could be ruled by Mercury, so you could have Mercury ruled rising, so Gemini or Virgo, or maybe Mercury has a lot of contact in your chart, which means that a lot of planets make an aspect to Mercury in your chart, and so Mercury ends up having a strong pull. Your need for stimulation, intellectual stimulation, stimulation of your curiosity is really important to you, and that is a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the end of the day, Mercury in your chart almost needs a break sometimes. Maybe you need to do things with Venus related things or moon related things. Like, don't forget about the other aspects of you. Just because one aspect of you is the strongest does not mean that other aspects of you don't exist anymore. That's the kind of energy that I'm getting. That's the kind of message that I'm getting. And sometimes it's like you can overwork anything. No matter how much you enjoy something, if you do too much of it, it can become repetitive or frustrating or disorienting. It's like, when you say a word multiple times, if, like, let's say the word Mercury, if you said Mercury, 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 it's like it gets hard to say. You almost start feeling like a toughness in your mouth. You almost start feeling like your tongue is almost getting tired, or your cheeks are kind of like, it's uncomfortable to do one thing multiple times, even if it is one of your favorite things to do. And even if it's the thing that you're most curious about. Okay, so we've also got, two cards fell out from this deck. We've got see the good in everything. I'm kind of feeling like the see the good in everything, you don't have to only focus. It's not so much like, I'm not taking it as probably the way that this card means it. But what I'm getting, it's more like see maybe mental stimulation in, I don't know if this is paradoxical, but it's kind of like, if you feel your feelings and if you do something that is emotionally related, and if you, for example, spend time with family, it's an emotional kind of connection, right? And or family members that you really enjoy and you really love, right? If you spend time with your family, yes, it's emotionally stimulating, but don't forget that there will be mental stimulation there too, because you will be having conversations, you will be having discussions, you will be having debates, you will be hearing news about what your family members have been doing. And that is also mental stimulation, even though that the overall umbrella of hanging out with your family or hanging out with friends that you really love is emotional, and you're getting that emotional recharge, there's still mental stimulation. There's mental, I'm kind of getting, I feel like you must be super mercurial, group number one, but maybe you have a lot of, maybe you are like a Gemini or a Virgo stellium or something like that, you know? But I'm really getting, like, don't forget that even if you're doing something for your body, for example, exercising or going out for a walk or swimming, there's still some sort of level of mental stimulation there, you know, like you're running, and so your brain gets a break, but then when you come back from like your run or your swim, your brain might get like this sudden rush of mental stimulation, and all of a sudden, because you gave your brain a rest, there's extra mental stimulation for you. If you're spending time in an emotional setting, there's a mental stimulation that comes from that as well. I feel like you need to be encouraged to do things to do with physical, to do with emotional, by the promise of, well, there's mental stimulation there too, if you think about it. There's mental stimulation in many things that you wouldn't consider as very obviously mentally stimulating. So that's the challenge that your guides are almost asking you to take on. And we've got break negative habits, and I feel like it's almost like a habit of doing something that you love to the point where you create a lot of tension with it. So I feel like a lot of you have very intellectual or mentally stimulating hobbies, interests. Maybe you have a mentally stimulating business, career, and you love doing it, but you have a negative habit of doing it to the point of not even enjoying it anymore. And not that you completely ruin it for yourself. It's that if you take a break, it becomes enjoyable again. Okay, we've also got strength, joy, and stability. You are stable in whatever this is. Your guides are being very honest. You are stable. You are stable in whatever this situation is. If it's like a mentally stimulating a connection that you have with someone, it is meant, maybe this person, like if it is a person or a relationship, it could be that you think, wow, nobody gets me the way that this person gets me. The only person that I can have these kind of conversations with is this person, which may be true to a point, but your guides are saying, but there's other types of conversations that you can have with other people. And maybe people that are not so mentally stimulating to you currently could become mentally stimulating by you zooming in more on them, zooming in more on the conversations that you have with them, being more curious about why they say the things that they say. And we've also got purpose. I know what to do. I am here to do it. I think you have found your purpose in some sort of way here. I feel like you have found your purpose of some kind within this thing that you want to do. It's like in your head, you're like, I want to do this for the rest of my life, every single day. I never want to stop doing it. Or I want this person in my life every single day. I want to have a conversation with this person every single day. And your guides are saying, yes, there is a purpose within this thing for you. There is a purpose within whatever this subject or whatever it is. There is a purpose there. But don't forget that you are so curious by nature. You've got this beautiful curiosity to you that can find purpose in anything. And you often forget that about yourself. You often don't give yourself credit for that. You forget that you are someone who you're so clever and you're so curious that you can be curious enough in your pursuits that it's kind of like you keep digging. You dig and dig and dig until you find something interesting. And this time I feel like it's just that this time you've come across an intellectual curiosity, gold mine. That's what I was trying to say. You've come across whatever this thing is. It feels like a curiosity, mental stimulation gold mine. You're like, this is a fucking gold mine. Like this is what I've been looking for. Something to engage me on such a level that I get enveloped by it, that I get into it so good, that it's so enjoyable, that it really brings me a lot of stimulation and fun. But the more you do it, and when you start doing it every single day without a break, without a change, you start going, oh, I feel like it's not flowing the way that it used to when I first found it. I feel like the progression is not as natural as it was when I first found it. What's happening? Oh, shit, is it not for me? Like, is it not for me? Like, is something wrong? And your guides are saying, no, we're putting a block because you need a break. You need a break from this thing. And not a long break. For some of you, maybe. For some of you, maybe you need a longish break from this thing. But I feel like for most of you, you don't need a big break. You don't, like, I kind of feel like a day out away from it. And I mean truly away from it. Because sometimes we think we're taking a break, and I do this as well. Sometimes we think we take a break from something when we know we're lying to ourselves. We take a break and maybe we go on a walk and maybe we go and do something else, but then we're checking our phone, you're checking your emails, or you're checking your stats, or you're checking your followers, you're checking your whatever it is, your bank account. And your guides are saying, be very honest with yourself, and we're being very honest with you. Take a whatever substantial you feel would qualify for your levels of stress. And I do feel like you're stressed group 1. But you're stressed, but this stress is not that hard to fix. Your guides are being very honest. It's like there's stress. You are in a place of like tension. I'm kind of you're like in this space of tension almost. And you can take a break and release that tension, or you can continue pushing to where that tension kind of collapses or breaks in on itself. But either way, you will be released from that tension, even if it does, like, it could be, let's say it's a business and you work at it and you're like becoming a bit of a workaholic and you're constantly at it and you're constantly doing it. And let's say it brings you to a point where you have no more ideas for your business because you've completely burnt yourself out and your sales flop. And you're, you lose a lot of clients because, maybe your ideas are not as good anymore. I'm not saying this is going to happen to you. I'm just explaining the concept. And you are forced to take a break. You are forced to not work on it anymore. You are forced not to think about it anymore because it feels like it has broken. And so then you are forced into this break and you're like, well, right, I have to do something else. I have to, look into other things in my life. I have to look after myself emotionally. All of a sudden you go, well, now I have space to spend time with family or friends because I can't be thinking about this business because it upsets me because it flopped or whatever. It's in its flop era, But your guides are just saying, but then you start, as you're hanging out with your friends and family and as you're enjoying yourself, or maybe you're not enjoying yourself that much at the start, but then you're kind of leaning into it a little bit more. All of a sudden you start getting these new ideas and they're coming in and you're like, shit, maybe I can bring my business back. I have this idea. I mean, I could try this idea and I could bring my business back this way and this way and this way and this way. And all of a sudden you're back in that curiosity cycle. And all of a sudden you're engaged and you're excited to deal with it again. And so you start your business back up and this new idea is actually very successful and you get it going again and you feel amazing. You're like, damn, I really needed that break. I needed my business to flop. I needed to be in my flop era in order. Do not underestimate the flop era. But I feel like you can avoid that group one by giving yourself a break, mindfully going, if I keep going, I will go into my flop era. So let me just take a pause so I can pause it all, step away from it and reconsider, you know? Or just pause. I know where I want to go, but right now I don't have the mental capacity or the mental ability to get myself there right now. I'm just not in that headspace right now. I know where I want to go. I have a rough idea where I would like to see myself. Would it really kill me to take a break for a week? And really just do other things, engage in other things. I've been meaning to start running. I've been meaning to start, painting. I've been meaning to, see my mom or see my parents or whatever. Like, I've been meaning to see this friend that has been asking me to go somewhere for the longest time. Let me just do that for a week. And then I'll come back with a fresh head. I don't need to be researching this right now. And I honestly feel like this break could give you some really much needed confidence. And I feel like what your guides are saying, you would come back very joyful and stable. The Four of Wands is this card. So Four of Wands indicates celebration, happiness, joy. And I feel like some of you actually really just need this right now. You need to just celebrate. You need to go to a party or a celebration. You need to just celebrate whatever, even if it's a small celebration, a small get together with people that you love. That just keeps coming up, like a get together with like really good friends or family that you really love being around. I'm kind of getting a lot of people like just playing board games and laughing and having drinks, and it's just people being playful with each other because it's like it's a space of celebration and play. I feel like some of you really, really need that right now rather than working away on whatever this is. So that's what your guides wanted to be honest with you about group number 1. I thought this was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. If you liked it too, definitely like and subscribe. I really appreciate every single person that subscribes to my channel. It really makes me really happy. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll leave you here. If you want to leave some feedback and let me know what you thought of the reading, I would be very happy about that as well. But I'm going to move on. So we're going to move on to the next group. So we're moving on to group number 2, the clear quartz group. So as I said with group 1, I am not reading the oracle cards straight away. I'm putting them to the side and I'm pulling 3 cards from the tarot deck to give us an idea of the story, and then we are enveloping that story with the oracle messages. So let's first begin with the 3 tarot cards, please. We've got the Ace of Wands in reverse. And this is, what do your guides want to be honest with you about right now? Or what honest conversation do they want to have with you? We've got the Eight of Swords in reverse. And we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. Okay. Let me have a think about it. Some of you could be feeling a little bit bored in your life right now. Like you might feel a sense of boredom or apathy. Like you don't feel like you feel very strongly about anything. But not necessarily in that way. Like you might cry, you might get upset about things, but deep down there's just almost this sense of like Nothing sparks me up. Nothing is giving me that sense of euphoria or excitement. But there is a reason for that. There's a reason that that's happening to you right now. With the Eight of Swords in reverse being in the middle of the reading, it makes me feel like you are breaking through a lot of overthinking patterns and a lot of self-limiting beliefs. And first and foremost, even though we're like, this is what do your guides want you to be, or to be honest with you, or what honest conversation do they want to have with you, the very honest thing that they want to say is that you have broken down so many self-limiting beliefs, and I'm hearing in the last year. They want to be very honest. You have done a very, very solid job, I would say. A very solid job on breaking out of so many things that internally that have held you back in the past. You are not quite done. You are not quite done. There's more to go. There's always more to go, right? But I feel like whatever this is about, I feel like something to do with your communication and expressing the truest opinions that you have. So I feel like something that you've learned, some of you could have had problems with your self-expression in the past, where your self-expression of your opinions may have been very impulsive, but not for good, like not impulsive, not, it's kind of like you would try to say something authentic and something that you really believe in and something that you really feel passionately about, but it's almost like you would always say it wrong in the past. Or the way that it would come out, you would almost be like, wait, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it in a good way. Why is it coming out in this kind of way that is making people upset or is making someone angry with me? There's that kind of feeling here. And something that you've worked through this year has really put you in a place of very authentic self-expression, but in a way that people actually hear you. Like, hear the exact message that you're trying to convey. They finally hear what you're trying to say. Whereas in the past you could have had, and I'm not saying that it's your fault that like things would come out and they would come out and people would get offended or people would get angry with you for saying something. And I feel like it left you confused a lot of the time. It kind of feels like, well, I said this because I truly believe in it. Why are you mad at me? And I wasn't trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm just being honest. Maybe some of you have strong Sagittarius placements, maybe Sagittarius moon, Mercury, fire Mercuries in general, I feel, could be present here today. But there's this feeling of like when you used to say things, they used to be so honest, but oftentimes the other person would receive it with harshness, but it's not the way that you intended it. But something about the way you've worked on your own self-limiting beliefs is helping you be very authentic with your communication, but in a softer, more easily digestible way. And I don't mean this in a way like, oh, you needed to make yourself digestible. Like, that's not what I'm getting here. Because I think you're still this person who could, I think maybe you ruffle feathers in certain situations. I feel like you're someone who sometimes says things that everyone is thinking, but no one is willing to admit or no one is willing to say. And I think you've just realized that there's a way to say it so that people go, actually, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Actually, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was thinking the same thing. Rather than you saying it and everyone going, oh my God, how could you say that? Even though the subject of what you're saying is exactly the same, the way that you've been able to convey it and express it has elevated. So you're still this very honest, maybe even a blunt person, group number 2, but your bluntness and your honesty are penetrating in a very touching way now. And your guides are saying, we're not gonna lie. when you were younger or you were growing up, or, like in the past years, when you were trying to be vulnerable or authentic, or when you tried to speak the truth, when you tried to look at everyone in the room and go, what the hell are we doing here? Like, it's kind of like you were so good at calling people's bullshit in the past, but maybe the way you called people's bullshit was very disorienting for the collective, or disorienting for people because they couldn't grasp it properly. Whereas now you can call people's bullshit. It's like you can call people out in the most elegant way. That's the way I'm getting this. It's like this energy gives me someone who knows how to call someone out in a subtle way, but so effective. Like, you know how to call people out without I'm struggling to phrase this. But that makes me think like you maybe in the past have phrased things. Some of you could have Mercury in retrograde in your natal chart. Maybe that's also something, because that can cause issues with communicating what you're actually meaning to say. So something that you're meaning to say will come across quite different, and maybe even grating sometimes. And so you have to not adjust yourself, but adjust your communication to let me make sure that what I'm trying to say is actually what people hear. Like, a lot of people with Mercury retrograde will have that kind of thought process through their life, because they'll realize like what I'm actually meaning to say is not coming across correctly. But in order for that to happen, you had to go through a lot of work on your self-limiting beliefs. You had to put a lot of work on your anxieties, maybe self-limiting beliefs around people not liking you, or inherently people having something against you. There is a little bit of this energy of, let me call the bullshit on everyone here in this room, because they would call bullshit on me, and not necessarily that way. Let me think about this. I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. It's like sometimes calling bullshit in the past came from a place of frustration and irritation. And even though you meant to call bullshit so that things would improve, that didn't work because it came from a place of frustration, irritation, and maybe even sometimes anger. But now when you call bullshit, it truly comes from a place, let me call bullshit so that I can truly help these people see that if they weren't engaging in this bullshit, life would be so much better. Like that. And it's like, it comes from a place of wanting to help and to improve. It's like you refined something. You refined something within yourself. And your guides are like, I'm getting that they're very proud of you, but they're saying there's more to go. There's more to go. You've refined it to a point, but we definitely want you to continue refining it. Your work here is not done. We're going to be honest. Maybe some of you have even looked at yourself in the last couple of days, weeks, months, and you've gone, wow, I've really matured, and I've really matured in my communication. I've really matured in the way that I express. I feel like some of you have matured in the way that you express anger as well. Like, something about the way that you're able to manage your anger and the way that you're able to express your anger has become like miles more mature over the last year. But your guides are like, your job is not done yet. Work is not done yet. But at the same time, yes, you have. You've done the work. But please continue. That's what I'm getting. Okay, perfect. So is there anything else that I'm getting from this right now? No, I'm going to start getting into the oracle cards. So let's see. We've got Starry Canyon, look for the light in the dark, optimism, hope, inspiration. You maybe, something that I'm getting here as well, when calling out bullshit in the past in a room of people or in a room of peers or whoever, you used to come from a place of pessimism. It's like, I'm gonna call out bullshit, but I'll never save this. It's kind of like, I'm gonna call these people's bullshit out so that they know how terrible they are and like what they're saying. And I think a lot of the time these people would be saying terrible things or doing things that weren't good, or things that were selfish or nasty, but it came from a place of, they're a lost cause, like the way that you viewed they're a lost cause, I'm gonna call it out, but fuck it, they're a lost cause, I can't do anything about it. But lately you're coming from a place, let me see if I can change this person's opinion or this person's view or this person's way of thinking even a little bit. Maybe I can change something within their perspective. Maybe I can give them something to think about. And so when you call out bullshit, you'll still call out bullshit in a fairly like strong, stern manner, maybe sometimes even blunt, as I said, but you will do it in such a way where you're like, here's what I want you to think about this. You're posing almost like a challenge to the person rather than calling them out in an accusational way, I suppose. But it's like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. At the same time, I feel like it's not that you shouldn't call people out. This feels like a very fine topic. It feels like a very fine line, because it's like, obviously sometimes it's that bad that you have to call someone out for their bullshit in a very kind of like big manner, because they will not listen any other way. But I'm more so talking about situations where maybe calling someone out as elegantly as you can do that now was an option, and you didn't take that option, if that makes sense. I've been struggling to phrase this, but I feel like that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like, there were moments in your past that you were able, or there was an option to call someone out in a more refined, more elegant, more kind of compelling way, and you didn't take that option. You took the more forceful option, I suppose. But these days you really know how to gauge it. You know how to call someone out in a forceful way, but you also know when to call someone out in a more optimistic way almost. And I feel like when you do that, you inspire other people to call people out as well. Because people see, oh, I don't have to call people out by force. I don't have to call people out and create some sort of animosity. I can call someone out through conversation almost. It's like you're better at calling people out through conversation rather than a monologue. It's like, let me call you out, but I'm going to call you out through questions, through conversation, and through a debate, rather than calling you out through me monologuing at you in some sort of way. And your guides are really happy that you've been doing this. At the very heart of this is that you give a shit about humanity and you give a shit about community. I feel like you are, strong Aquarius energy for sure here. You care about the collective. And when you see an individual disrespecting the collective or disrespecting the harmony of the collective, you feel like you need to call them out. But you've just refined your way of calling people out and making people think about the things that they say and how they say them. Okay, we've also got be proactive. You should continue being proactive in this way of calling people out. And again, calling people out keeps coming up, but I feel like it's not always calling people out. Sometimes it's just pointing out things that make people uncomfortable. Like, you might even be you're very good at noticing when something that someone does is not serving, I wouldn't say not serving the collective, but is hurting the collective. So even if it's a word, even if it's just a phrase, some people might brush it off and go, oh, that's just a phrase, that's just a word, oh, like it's one person saying one thing. But you're someone who has this awareness of collective where you're able to go, well, it's not just a phrase, it's not just a word. That phrase in a room full of people probably hurt a couple of people. And so when a couple of people are hurt, that hurt is going to translate into their decisions, and is going to put those people in a situation where they're feeling like shit, and then they could be doing things that are hurting other people because that's informed by the hurt that they've received. And so you are very aware of how, if we hurt a person, or if an individual hurts a person in some way or disrespects a boundary of a person in some way, how that can have a domino and a knock-on effect. You see things from a very big picture point of view. And some people sometimes can't grasp that idea, but I feel like you've gotten to a point where you're better at explaining that to people. You're better at because maybe that's another thing, you've refined it so well that maybe in the past when you called someone out, they would think that it was coming from you, like as in it's like you were calling them out and people would think you're like this stern teacher or authority, or you think that you're this authority who's calling them out and telling them that what they're saying is wrong and what they're doing is wrong. But when you talk about the collective, or when you bring the perspective of the collective into it, when you call someone out and you go, I'm not saying this is what I specifically set as an authority for you. I'm not saying this is a rule that I've come up with. I'm saying that as a collective, we don't benefit from what you just said. We don't benefit from what you just did. That, even if it just affects one person, in a way, it continues on, and it eventually affects the whole collective. So I feel like you would be very good in a humanitarian type of job. Like I feel like you would be an excellent any sort of humanitarian pursuits, they feel very natural because you do care about the collective. And you are very, very, you're very honest. And I feel like your guides are saying that's I feel like your guides are very comfortable being honest with you as well, group 2, because you're naturally very honest. You're just an honest person. So I feel like your guides are kind of saying, well, thanks for being like that, because it makes their job easier, because they don't have to make things softer for you, or they don't have to, the messages that they send you don't have to be super sugar coated or anything like that. It kind of feels like your guides are saying, we can be straight with you, we can be very honest with you, and you take it on board, and we like that. So we've also got gratitude. And we've also got gratitude. I actually saw these two fall out when I was shuffling the cards. So that's why I'm not even surprised here now that I'm taking out these cards. But when I was shuffling both of these, none of the other oracle cards came out and fell out upright when I was doing, because I don't usually look at the oracle cards before when I shuffle them, only if they flip over. And these were the only two cards that flipped over. One thing that I want to say, your guides want to be very honest. There are people that you don't realize that have been grateful for your ability to call someone out. So someone that you have called out in the past, maybe, or people you've called out in the past, whether it was, the more refined way or the less refined way, there are people that appreciated you doing that. And I feel like that's something that is very important that you do know. Or when you educated someone on a specific topic or a specific thing, there were people in the room that saw that, and maybe they did not speak up, or they didn't defend you when maybe the rest of the room turned on you, but they appreciated your valor and your confidence to stand up for whoever. It kind of feels like, if someone is being disrespectful, and there is like a group of people hanging out, right? And someone's being disrespectful, and they're really loud about their disrespect, maybe towards a certain group of people, or towards a certain idea or thing, and overall everyone is just kind of like going along with it because they're too afraid to speak up. Or maybe some people agree with this person, but like overall the energy is like nobody is actually challenging this person, right? But there are a couple of people that are uncomfortable with what this person is saying, but they don't feel like they can speak up about it. So then when there is a person that stands up and goes, hey, don't fucking say that, that is fucking shit to say. Like, do you understand the implication, or like, do you understand how that affects people? Do you know how that affects, the collective? Even though those people that were feeling uncomfortable didn't say anything, that interaction mattered to them because they watched someone else get up and they watched someone else say something. And so don't ever think that your willingness to protect the collective is not appreciated. I almost feel a bit teary-eyed. I feel like maybe this is something that your guides are saying. You need to really know. You are a truth seeker. I feel strong Sagittarius and Aquarius in this group. You are the ultimate truth seeker, group 2. You're not interested in any sort of bullshit. You're not interested in illusions, delusions. You're interested in the truth of all things. But your guides are just saying there's a balance to everything, right? Honesty is good. Delusion, not so good. But at the same time, too much honesty can turn into, or like too much seeking of honesty or too much pursuit of honesty can put you in a place where you're not allowing people to be mysterious. You're not allowing for more mystery in life. You're not allowing for more softness in life. And so your guides are saying it's beautiful that you're such a truth seeker, but implement more softness into your truth seeking. You are already doing it though. I do see that. And I feel like even with this pink rose, I feel like there's this energy of softness. And so you are kind of evolving into a truth seeker who has this really good ability to truth seek through softness or harshness. You're someone who knows how to go both ways, and you are able to discern when truth seeking needs to be done in a soft way or when truth seeking needs to be more bold and come down like a hammer, that kind of way. The point is discernment. It's not about harshness being the right way or the softness being the right way. It's just that maybe you started out in life with the harsher approach, but you're softening up and you're noticing like, oh, I can be harsh and soft, and I can just decide when one is more applicable than the other. And then we've also got stop. Seek the truth. Stop it. Absolutely. I didn't see this card. I'm actually, okay. Very interesting. And I feel it's crazy that we've got 2 gratitude cards here as well. One thing that your guides really want to be honest with you on is that you're on the right path. You're doing very well, group 2. Honestly, I feel like, and this card, there's so many kind of, there's so many little connections between the cards that I'm noticing, because I'm looking at the Starry Canyon and it's reminding me of the Star card in Tarot. And the Star card is ruled by Aquarius. And again, as I was saying, I was feeling a lot of Aquarian energy here. But I'm also feeling a lot of Sagittarian energy here. The beautiful thing about Sagittarius and Aquarius is signs, I would say. And it's funny because one is the original ruler is Saturn and the other one is ruled by Jupiter. And it's like one is expansive and one is restrictive. And that is kind of like what I'm getting with the balance, because both of those signs are truth seekers to me. I think ultimately both those signs want the truth. But Sagittarians want the truth in a very Jupiterian way. They want all of the truth. They want to like feel it. They want to climb into the truth. They want to, like eat truth, breathe truth. Like there's this like all encapsulating energy of Jupiter. It's expansive. It's like I want to expand to the point of everything is true and nothing is a lie. And then when we go to the Aquarian energy, which is like the original ruler, Saturn, it's a lot more, I want the truth, but I want the truth in maybe minimal doses, but I want it to be concrete, and I want to make sure that the truth is more important. Because maybe sometimes, you know, like in cases of like a white lie, or sometimes lying, and this group, I don't know if you'll like that I'm saying, but like sometimes lying is necessary. Sometimes not telling the truth or concealing the truth or just not saying anything, mystery, it's needed. And so I feel like maybe the Aquarius energy is a little bit better at knowing that. The Aquarian energy is a little bit better at going like, the truth is really important and the overall truth is super, super important. But there's ways of moving towards that truth that can be a little bit more meticulous, where we take time with it a little bit more. And so I feel maybe you started out as this very Jupiterian, very Sagittarian energy in terms of truth, but you're coming to this Aquarian energy of truth where it's a little bit more subtle. And your guides are really happy about that. But they're saying your work is not done. They're very grateful for the work that you have done. And I feel like it's almost like one of these, I feel like this is a big message because it feels like it was your objective. It was your objective to come on this earth, to be a truth seeker and a truth bringer. But you were meant to refine how you do it. I feel like maybe in a past life or something like that, group 2, you were always very good at telling the truth. You were like the truthful, you know, but you weren't good at refined truth. And this lifetime, that's one of your objectives. And so you might be refining this until the end of your days, you know, not to be grim about it, but it does not mean that that's a bad thing. It's just like, yeah, theme of truths and justice and humanity and the collective, and what do we do that's fair to the collective and what's unfair to the collective, like all of that feels very, very, like I'm getting like a human rights lawyer energy here with this group, like a human rights lawyer that is really fighting for the people and for the collective to make sure that the collective survives as a whole, rather than select groups of people in the collective. But wow, what a powerful, powerful reading, group number 2. Yeah, I'm going to leave it here. I feel like your guides are I'm just going to read this out. It says here, I am thankful for this life and opportunities that it presents. I feel like that's kind of your main objective, to be thankful for this opportunity to refine your sense of truth and honesty, vulnerability, authenticity, because you are already authentic. It's like you're raw authentic, like, you know, there's a rawness to you in how authentic you are, but you can refine it to a point where you're authentic and vulnerable, but you can discern in how to use that authenticity and vulnerability and when to be very open and when to conceal certain things. So that's what I have for you, group number 2. Wow, I just feel like it was a very, very powerful reading. If you enjoy this reading and you liked it, do like, subscribe, and comment, especially with your feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback on this group. Let me know. I'm gonna leave this reading and I'm going to move forward. So we're moving on to group number 3. So group number 3, it's this pyrite group, and as with the other groups, I'm not taking the oracle cards yet. I'm going to put them to the side. And I'm going to start out with 3 tarot cards to set the story. And then we're going to see how the oracle messages envelop that story or support that story. So let's get started with the tarot. Okay, group 3. Can I get the message for group 3? What do your guides want to be very honest with you about? What honest conversation do they want to have with you? So we've got Six of Wands upright, Temperance upright, and the Justice card in reverse. Okay, let me think about this. I keep hearing quiet success. Maybe some... Oh, one thing that I'm getting, for some of you, you are about to receive some sort of success, some sort of recognition. There could be, you know, a big jump in your recognition or your following. Yeah, there seems to be some sort of jump in your recognition that's coming up for you, group 3. And your guides are saying, I'm not necessarily getting that you have to keep hush-hush about it, because I feel like it is going to be public with the Six of Wands. Like, it feels like people will know about this success. People will be aware of this success. But something that your guides are advising you on is to allow the success to speak for itself. That's the exact phrase that I'm getting. Allow your success, allow your accomplishments to speak for themselves. Like, and I'm not getting that you're a super braggy kind of person, or that you would be someone who would be very arrogant about your successes or anything like that. I'm not getting that at all. But I wonder if your guides are just saying, just watch how effective you can be without saying a word about your success, without talking about... And it's okay. I struggled with the other two groups as well to begin the message, but when we kind of get going, you know, it's easier. I find that can be with a lot of readings. So I'm trying to get the phrases, and then we'll get rolling, you know? Be patient with me. Okay, so allow success to speak for itself. There's something about people thinking that when you're successful and when you have recognition, when you get a promotion, like some of you could be getting a promotion of some kind as well, like there's always going to be someone who thinks that's not fair. There's always going to be someone who turns around, looks at your success and goes, how come they get to have it? I'm working way harder than them, because they don't know your situation. They don't understand, and they have self-limiting beliefs where they're looking at you from that perspective. There will always be someone who will look at you and go, that's not fair. It's not fair that they have this and I don't. And so your guides are kind of saying, allow that. Allow the people who think that you don't deserve your spot in the sun or your spot in the spotlight, allow them to think that. Allow them to wallow in that if they need to. That's not your concern. And like your guides are, because this is a very honest conversation that your guides are having, it may not be like the easiest message to hear, and obviously if people are being really hurtful, that can be very hard, but this is a very honest conversation that your guides want to have. They're saying that you have enough patience and you have enough balance. I feel like this group has worked on balancing themselves a lot. Like I feel like you're probably you're very mature. You're giving me very mature energy, but I feel like you can often feel like you need to prove that you deserve the success that you got. So there is this feeling like, oh shit, now I'm on top. Now I'm recognized. Now I have this promotion. I need to, not only do I need to do this job. So let's say you got a promotion in work. This is going to be the example, but it can be anything, right? But let's say you got a promotion in work, right? And a lot of people wanted that promotion, you know, a lot of people went for it, but you're the one that got it. You're the one that got it. You're the one that has it now. You're the one that's going to do it. And you start hearing that there are people that are, there's whispers, there's gossip, and people are saying, it should have been me. Why does group 3 get to have this job? Why does group 3 get to have this opportunity? Like, I deserve it. I should have it. It should be me. It should be me. It should be me. So what the thought process could be then for you is going, shit, they don't think I deserve it. How do I prove it to them? Because I think I deserve it. I think, and you might even think, I think that person also deserves it, but I think I deserve it. Like, I did work really hard for it. I know the other person worked hard too, but like, I really, really did work hard for it. So I want to prove to them that I deserve it. And so whenever that person is around in the office, you try and show them, like, here's all the work that I'm doing. Here's all the effort that I'm putting in. And so you're not only doing the work of the actual job that you have to do, you're putting an extra emotional labor into proving yourself to someone who is angry at you for something that they shouldn't even be angry at you specifically for. Everyone was competing for the promotion. Everyone wanted it, but someone had to get it. What, are you going to give up your promotion for them? Of course you're not. And so there's something like that going through this reading. Like, do not feel the need to explain your success to other people. Do not feel the need to explain your recognition to other people. And don't try to prove to people that you deserve the success that you have. Prove it through working on whatever it is that you're working on. Prove it through doing the best job that you can within the career or within the job that you got because you want to, because you're into it, because you're invested. Because at the end of the day, likelihood is you got the promotion because you were invested in it. Not because you were invested in making everyone think that you did a good job. You were invested in it because you loved doing the thing, or you wanted to do the thing. But I feel like with the Temperance card, like, I don't think a lot phases you, group 3. Like, I feel like you're a pretty chill energy. And even when you do have moments where you feel bothered by people, I think you're very good at neutralizing that feeling for yourself. And your guys are just being very honest. They're like, you can neutralize this. This might be a little bit of a trigger for you, but maybe I feel like this is a level of recognition that you haven't held before. This is a level of exposure to other people and people's eyes on you that you haven't had before. And so you feel, maybe in the past, if someone was jealous of you or felt like you should have had, they should have had what you have, like, it was easier to manage because it was like maybe one person or two people or three people. And if there's more people, or if you feel like, maybe even if it is just one person, but there's other people around them that are listening to what this other person has to say, you feel like you're more exposed. So it does feel like your guides are saying it's natural when you have some sort of recognition, some sort of level of being in the spotlight. There will be people that will criticize you for having that place. There will be people that will begrudge you having that recognition. But that it's not your job to prove to them that you deserve that recognition. It's not your job to prove to them that you deserve that level of success. It's your job to continue doing the best job that you can on that specific thing that you're focused on. Okay, so let's get into the oracle cards and see maybe what we can derive from them to add on to this message. I feel like there's something here, like, it does feel like, I don't think you're a people pleaser, because I think you're very good. Like, I think in personal relationships, you're not a people pleaser, group 3. But do you sometimes want to please the collective? Like, if it's an individual relationship, I feel like you're really good at setting boundaries, but do you kind of, something that's coming up is like good reputation. So is there a concern with good reputation here? And maybe you worry about, what is my overall reputation as a human being? And I wonder if that's something that your guides are saying. There's a need to do some shadow work around that. Because what does that mean? What does a good reputation mean to you? I feel like a lot of you could journal about this, like sit down and journal. It's like, what does good reputation mean to me? And why is it so important? Why is there a sense of fear or dread that I get from having a bad reputation and what's bad reputation? Because I feel like someone having a bad reputation, it can mean different things, because it's kind of like some people will have a perception of you as bad, and they will see you as bad, and that will be like a bad reputation. But it doesn't mean everyone will. Maybe the loudest people will, I kind of get that sense of like, don't forget that when you are in the spotlight, sometimes it's so few people that are actually being like, it's unfair, and how dare you have this space, and how dare you, get this far, and they'll begrudge you or resent you for it. And they're the loudest about it, but they're not the majority. And that's kind of what your guides are coming through here with. They're like, consider that when there is people voicing dislike, and it's like, it's impossible to be liked by everyone. I feel like you're a bit of a sweetheart, group 3, and I feel like overall people do tend to like you. And so maybe it's a bit of a shock to the system when people don't. But your guides are just saying it's impossible to be liked by everyone, and sometimes the people that don't like you will be the loudest, unfortunately. But it's something that you can deal with. It's something that you can move through, and you can engage and focus on the people that do enjoy what you have to bring to the table. Especially if you get a promotion, it's like, okay, if there's a coworker that becomes resentful, that's fine. You don't have to prove anything to them. Focus on the coworkers that are cheering you on, that are saying, well done, I'm so happy you got this job. Like, focus on that. Okay, so we've got Grandma's house. You don't have to face everything alone. Comfort, nurturing energy, support. You do have support. I feel like you have a lot of really nurturing energies around you. There's a lot of people that are close to you that actually really are happy for you. And this could be even like, let's say, again, this example of promotion. You get the promotion, and there's a couple of coworkers that are salty about you getting the promotion. But there's also coworkers that are supportive and they're really happy for you. You focus on that, and then you go home, and your partner or your parents or your siblings are also really happy for you, and they're delighted for you. They've been rooting for you from day one, and you can focus on that, and you're like, oh my god, look at these people and how happy they are for me. And kind of leaning into the more supportive energies is really, really going to help you really, really engage with the people that love you and want the best for you. It feels like a very simple message, but I feel like you really need to hear it right now, group 3. We've also got Grand Trine blessings. At the end of the day, your guides are like, this is going to be a blessing, and this does feel very positive. Your guides are saying this feels like something really good, like a promotion, recognition, increase in finances of some kind. Like, this is a good energy. Enjoy the goodness of it. Don't focus on the little things that are gonna try and snip at you. I'm kind of seeing it's like you're walking around and you're like on your way to your blessing, and there's just like a little nippy kind of dog at your feet going like, and it's like annoying you, but it can't hurt you, but they're like shouting at you, and so you're like, just give that little dog compassion and go, oh, it's okay. Like, you're frustrated with life, and just move on. So yeah, I feel like whoever expresses dislike or doesn't show support for you, you don't have to prove to them that you deserve it, because deep down they know you deserve it. That's the most interesting thing here. It's like deep down that person knows that you deserve it. Deep down that one specific, person who is noticing your recognition and your success, even if they resent it, they know that you deserve it. And that is almost what upsets them more. We've got pay attention to your body. That makes me think of realize that you're safe in your body. You know, when these kind of moments happen, when this recognition comes about, I feel like a lot of you are very close to it. Just realize that you're safe in your body. And a person that is like gossiping about you or is bitching about you, that's just words. That's just them bitching. That's just them gossiping. Nothing can actually, that can't actually penetrate anything. That can't actually take this promotion away from you. It can't take this recognition away from you. It can't wipe away all the years of hard work that you've put in. It just can't. And that kind of dissolves the control that these individuals have on you. We've also got self-esteem. So for a lot of you, maybe it has to do with self-esteem and truly believing that you deserve whatever you're getting here. So I feel like a lot of you do feel like you deserve it, but maybe sometimes little hints of confusion or unsureness slip through. And so your guides are just saying, continue working on your self-esteem, continue pushing through and saying, I deserve this. I've worked hard for this. I've put effort into this. I've manifested this. You know, like I have done what I needed to do in order to receive this. I deserve it. And it says, I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. And that makes me think of the fact that you got this promotion or you got this recognition or you're going to get it. It's not just for you. It's because you are the person who is most equipped or most suitable to not only serve yourself through this recognition, not only serve yourself through this promotion, but you're also the person who is most equipped to serve other people outside of you through your spotlight, through the recognition that you have. So that's a huge kind of message here, like recognizing that you don't have to prove to this person that you received this recognition for a reason. You just have to work and continue working in this spotlight to the point where your work positively improves other people's lives. Kind of makes me think like someone going for a manager job and getting the manager job, and they're the most suitable, not just because they're a good manager and they're good at delegating and they're good at, but because they increase the morale, because they treat other coworkers really nicely. And so when they get the manager job, they're very considerate of the people that they manage, as opposed to another person that could have gotten the job where they would go into a bit of a power trip and they would become this manager who is delegating, but they're not really concerned for their workers or people that they manage, their well-being. And so that's, you got this recognition, you got the spotlight for a reason. You don't have to prove it to anyone. We've also got worry. Yeah, there might be some anxious thoughts that pop up. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like you're more than capable. At the end of the day, I just keep getting, at the end of the day, this is a blessing. At the end of the day, this is a good thing that's happening to you. Spotlight, recognition, promotion, raises, you know, kind of getting like just a rise in status, a rise in, like, I wouldn't even say status necessarily for all of you, but it's like a rise in spotlight for sure. And that could come with perks for sure. And I do feel like there will be a lot of perks. A lot more perks than negatives. But the negatives might feel that much stingy. Like, you know, that's stingy. It kind of feels like, imagine being somewhere out on a beautiful summer day and you have a picnic and you have, you know, nice drinks and you're out with nice people and you're enjoying yourself so much. And all of a sudden you get stung by a bee or a wasp. And that sting is so painful for that split second. And you're like, wow, that really, really stings. That's so painful. And you treat it or whatever. And what you can do is you can focus on that sting for the rest of the day. And you can focus on how painful it is and how itchy and uncomfortable it is. Or you can lean into the fun of your picnic with your friends. sitting out in the sun, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying, everything around you. So that's the metaphor that I'm getting. It's like, it's a sting, and it might be painful in the moment, and it might hurt in the moment, but you can always lean away from the pain eventually. It does not mean it won't be painful, but overall the energy is of blessings, of abundance, of recognition. We've got refusing to see. Like, some people will always, what I'm getting from this is some people will always just refuse to see the big picture, and they will see it from a very kind of like selfish perspective, I suppose. So like, some people will always just go, that's unfair, that person shouldn't have this, I should have it. And they may not look at it from a point of view like, actually this person that got the job, that got the promotion, is actually the person who is most equipped to serve the collective energy, and not only themselves. Not that they won't serve themselves, because it's really important that we all serve ourselves to a certain degree, but they're also empathetic enough and considerate enough to look at everyone else involved, which might truly be the job or the position that you're filling here. Some people will always refuse to see. Another thing that I'm getting is like, you will be getting a lot of praise and a lot of admiration from people, and there's something that you're doing that is exceptional, right? But sometimes there's just going to be people in your life that will refuse to see that you are brilliant in some sort of way. There will always be people that will refuse to see that you are a good person, that you have good things to offer. At the end of the day, you can't even control that. There will always be people who refuse to see your brilliance. And, it might be a person that refuses to see it for a while and then eventually sees it. Or it could be a person that saw it for a little while and then decided that they don't want to see it anymore. Or it could be a person that refuses to see it point blank. But there will always be instances where people refuse to see brilliance, or refuse in someone else, or refuse to see something good in someone else, because something about that person triggers them enough to have a negative reaction, because something is being mirrored to that person that they don't like seeing in themselves. So don't take it personally. Interesting. I wonder, I'm getting a lot of Leo energy here. So I do wonder if you have some strong Leo placements where, because I do think at their very core, we always talk about Libras wanting to be likable, although you could have Libra as well. We've got the Justice card here. We always talk about Libras wanting to be liked and wanting to be likable, but Leos can really be like that as well. But I think it's because Leo energy, it's very warm and it's very generous and it's very fun. And a lot of Leo placements are just that, but they don't realize that sometimes seeing someone warm and lovely and generous and kind of like, just someone who can have fun in such a like unapologetic way, and someone who can love themselves and celebrate themselves in such an apologetic way can really trigger certain people. So just keep that in mind. And we've also got communication with P. We've also got 2 and 2, so maybe the number 2 is really important here. 2 is the number of balance. So again, your guides are, and actually that makes sense with the temperance. Your guides are just saying it's about balance. At the end of the day, if everyone adored you and everyone was, when you get your success and you get your recognition and everyone was like, you're always doing everything right. You don't make mistakes. You don't make mistakes, group 3. You're perfect. That would turn you probably into, unless you were a very strong character, it could turn you into someone very egotistical. You will start believing it. You will start believing, I can do no wrong. I am perfect. I never fail. I never hurt anyone. I'm just so good. I'm just such a great person. But it's like, we do have to have this critical thinking when it comes to ourselves. And we should of course believe that we're amazing and we're brilliant and we are here to do something really special. But the naysayers, in a way, and people, haters, if you want to call them that, or people that don't support us fully, even though, yes, they can be very hurt, that can be like a hurtful experience for us, there is that level of like, well, what can I take away from what they're saying? Maybe there is something that I'm doing that is not perfect. I don't think it's necessarily that I'm evil or I'm the devil, but something this person is saying, maybe it has a ring of truth to it. Not quite the way they're saying it, but maybe there is something that I could learn. Maybe there is something that I could adjust about myself, but not because I want to impress the person that's the naysayer, but because I want to truly improve myself as a person. I truly want to improve myself as a character. I truly want to apply myself. And you are definitely the kind of group, it seems, that applies yourself. You apply yourself to every single situation in your life. I think you're very mature group 3, and I feel like your guides are saying use that level-headedness, that balance, and that maturity to know when to not fall into the trap of proving yourself endlessly to people who will never be willing to see you, who will never be willing to admire you, who will never be willing to see your brilliance or your greatness. Why would you waste your time on such a thing? That's what I'm getting for you, group 3. So, very, very cool. I enjoyed doing this reading. If you like this reading, do like, subscribe, and comment. I always like seeing feedback, so if you feel like leaving your feedback, I would love to see it. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me today and watching this reading. I hope you had a great time, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!